Guys, I've got someone here who's followed the journey for a couple of years, bought a couple of properties now, and it's just interesting to see, we were talking off camera around how we didn't even have an office. There was like 2 or 3 people here, and now there's almost 40 people. And so that journey has made the experience also change over time. So I want to introduce Cara to the channel for the first time ever, and hopefully not the last, but welcome. Thank you so much for being here, Cara.
Hi, and thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate that you've trusted us in this journey so far. So I guess before we jump into the juicy part, which is the numbers and how much growth you've had, I want to go back to 2022. So walk me through how you come across my face for the first time. What were you searching for on YouTube?
Yeah. I think I actually found your YouTube in mid 2021. That's when we started looking into, how to buy a property and stuff like that. So I'm a big YouTuber, so I just like watching everything. So, how you can search anything how to. Mm-hmm. So my first search was how to buy a property in Australia.
Okay.
And at that time, my first idea was, there's probably not that many people who would be recording that. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just literally 2 people at that time, which was you and Queenie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So Queenie was great, but I think she was more posting about at that time about credit cards and just overall financial, where you were more property based. So I started searching and just looking at your videos, going through what are the step-by-steps. But I think it's not until 2022 when you probably put the video up of something like how to buy your first property if you were to live in it or something like that.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So, because we originally wanted to just, we'll just buy our house, live in it, just a classic example, classic scenario. And then I started watching your videos more and more in 2022. I was like, oh, hold on a second. It's not just, and it's not as pretty as government makes it to be, that with all these grants and stuff. So, and then I was speaking to my partner at the time, now husband. I was like, oh, let's just have a look what is out there, because everyone talks about regional is crap. Buy these blue chip properties in Sydney, but all you can afford in Sydney is just most likely units in comparison to the regional. So this is where I guess it all evolved from just learning how to buy a property and what are the steps to then going, oh, hold on a second, there are other ways of buying a property and making it perhaps an investment, and going from there.
Yeah, wow. So you were under the, I guess, guidance of wanting to purchase your own property to live in, and then you were like, okay, well, suddenly I've found this guy who's challenging my thoughts, and then it started making sense for you, and over the next sort of 6 months you thought this was probably the better direction to take.
Yeah, definitely, because I think it made sense money wise, particularly because we didn't have to save up as much for that property, because when you go to the bank specifically, and if you don't go to the mortgage broker, so they give you a bit of, I guess, different type of view, but when you go to the bank straight away, 20% deposit.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I just barely saved 70 grand. I need to save another, up to 200 to be able to afford anything in Sydney. Or like just in general, speaking to the agents to anywhere in Sydney, or like to the banks, it's always, you have to buy in Sydney. And then, it's sort of your view is very narrow-minded, so it
becomes an echo chamber where everyone's talking about the same thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. So and I think that's why seeing your point of view and then talking about the regionals, and obviously that the regional houses would be a bit more affordable, but I had no idea the type of growth that you would get with it. I didn't even know what rental yield at that time was. So all these things, once I started watching videos, and then your favorite whiteboard.
Oh my God, yes.
Especially with the old videos, they're like 40 minutes long. And this whiteboard, you cannot see anything. I was like, hold on a second. And then you just have to go back to just rewatch.
And you couldn't see it because my handwriting's so amazing, isn't it?
Well, that's one thing. But I think you were also quite far away.
Oh, okay. So I didn't, the quality wasn't great too.
But I think once you watch a couple of times, and it was great because your videos obviously refer to old ones, so they're sort of connected. So it's not just, you could, I guess, you watch it one video and then make sense of it, but then the reference to the old one just makes sense to then progress. You sort of, it's like learning a book, you just go to each chapter and you learn more and more about what are the, I guess, intricacies of buying a property, investment property.
Yep. And so I suppose before we jump into the numbers, you were talking about how you had this idea of purchasing in Sydney because everyone's talking about it. And now when we started communicating, walk me through what prompted you after watching the videos. I'm not going to ask you how many you watched before you reached out, but was it scary to reach out to someone you've probably never met and you probably will never meet? Like, obviously at the time I was working from home. There was only a couple of us. There is no office. And I can tell you now, there was no plans of an office. How did that make you feel?
No, definitely. It was scary, and obviously you get the thoughts of, am I gonna get scammed?
Yeah, of course.
But I think I booked the discovery call,
Yep.
I believe it was, and we chatted for an hour just about the strategies and what is our situation and things like that. So it did make more sense to, like, okay, this is a real person on the other end, and then once you explain us the process, I guess, and how you already help other people, my husband and I talked, and I was like, listen, let's just give it a go. Let's just give it a go. I would just, and especially with me, I'm the type of person I would just rather take the risk.
Yeah.
Calculated risk, I should say.
Yes, of course, yes.
Calculated risk, than sit there, 2-3 years later and be like, oh, damn it, I should have bought it that time.
Yeah.
Which now I'm very grateful that 2 years ago we did that, because then we see the growth with the property that we purchased, and we're planning to keep purchasing more.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a fantastic story because it's you've gone in that relationship. You guys weren't married at the time either, so you guys have purchased, and then you've seen the growth on the first property, and obviously we'll touch on the second property because that was more recent this year. Did you use the equity from the first property to purchase the second, or was it all cash savings?
This was all the savings.
Okay.
But I think we could have easily gotten the equity out, but because we already had it saved up, and perhaps it was a bit of a rush decision as well. And when we spoke to our mortgage broker, the type who helped us purchase the
first one,
he was looking at the obviously our serviceability and stuff. He's like, you guys have enough cash, and then I think at that time we just asked the bank that we're currently with this first property to reduce the interest rate, because they reevaluated, and he's like, I think
lower LVR.
Yeah. So we did that, and he's like, just use your cash. So we just did that.
Okay, nice. Well, let's go through the numbers. So the first property we purchased in Perth, and this is going to be interesting because we ended up doing this in April, May from memory, and then it settled obviously just after that. But at that time, nobody was really talking about Perth and Western Australia. So kudos to you, because I remember when we had to obviously present properties to clients like yourself at that time, it was very difficult because we've got all this PTSD around, the market's crashed over there. Who wants to buy in Perth? Is it going to boom and bust again? It's a mining town. How did you take it? Because it's your first property. We build this trust up, and then we go, the first property we show you is in Perth, where no one is talking about it, even online. No one else is buying there, and you trusted us. What were your thoughts going through your mind at the time?
I think I'll never forget when you called me, and he's like, I found this great property, it's amazing, but you were talking about the all of the features of the property, where it's at, and I clearly remember you said Perth, and I was like, hold on a second. Didn't you say in one of his videos you would never buy in Western Australia and North?
North Queensland. Northern Territory.
Northern Territory, because of the mining. But then I remember you said, listen, it really depends. If it was, I guess, north part of the Western Australia, with I think the main mining towns are.
Yeah, like any of the mining towns we would avoid.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, it's technically, it is in Perth, so it's not out of the Western Australia. I think the first thought, I had an expectation of Queensland for some reason, because that was Queensland was booming at that time.
Everyone was talking about Queensland at the time.
And it was just the numbers there were going crazy. Obviously we trusted you. I was like, yep, I'm not going to question, your ability of finding property. I was like, yep, sounds good. It is within our budget. I think it was well below our budget for.
Yeah, I think we purchased for $395.
Yeah, which was
incredible.
Yeah. And
just for context, because people obviously are listening now and they're saying, oh, well, I'm buying in Perth now and it's so hard. This is a 700 square meter block of land with a house on it, obviously, and maybe about 40 minutes from the city CBD. Yeah. So to pick up that for $395, everyone's jumping on that now, but you're not purchasing it now.
No.
Now, if we talk about rent, so do you remember how much it was renting for at the time and how much it rents for now?
Yeah, I think at the time, the rental appraisal came for $430 a week, which is great already because it's good rental yield at that time. And then we got a tenant in, but we got a dodgy real estate agent at that time.
Oh, property manager there?
Property manager, sorry, I should say. And they're like, hey, we've got this amazing couple. They're $470 for 2 years.
Oh, okay, got you.
And at that time, I think the interest rates were about to go up.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, damn, I'm just regretting so much for, obviously they paid more. So we thought it would sort of cover the next 2 years, but we could have upped the
actual rent.
So it was $430 rental appraisal, but we actually got $470 until for 2 years. And right now it's at $550.
$550. So it has gone up quite a bit. And if you think about it, a rental yield on the actual purchase price it's significant.
Yeah.
And I think obviously you've gone through that phase as well. And I don't know if we didn't have as strong of a relationship with property managers at the time because we had only just, for the last 3 months really been purchasing in Perth. So it was like, okay, we're still trying to establish who are the good guys, who aren't the great guys. Are you still with those property managers at the moment? Yeah,
no,
okay,
no,
thought so.
No. I literally emailed Deepak and you, I believe, like, do you have any recommendation? And then the one that you guys recommended, we went with them as soon as the contract ended.
Yeah, perfect. I was going to say, it's like, when you're in a new location, we can only do so much. And then there's only one agent that ruins it for the rest of them. But fortunately, we've got a good result now, which is it's renting well. Okay. Now let's talk about numbers in terms of what it's valued for at the moment. Do you have an idea as to what it would be worth now?
I'm hoping it's over 500.
Oh, okay. Well, look, if you wanted to sell it to me for 500, I'd be more than happy to buy it.
But I think the last time when we did the reevaluation with the bank so that they would reduce interest rate, that was last year, beginning of last year, and it was 465 around that.
So a lot's changed since then, obviously. So I was looking at recent sales comparables as well. You'd probably, if you go to a bank, they'd probably value it for 580.
Oh, wow.
But if you were to sell it, you'd probably get anywhere between 600 to 620, which is phenomenal.
This is crazy.
I know. And I know that the numbers that we gave you initially as well, I was like, there's no way I would have said to you there's going to be 50% worth of growth in the next couple of years. No. And if I had said even half of that, I would have felt comfortable, but you would have been like, that's an amazing deal. So if we look at numbers, that's $205,000 worth of growth, and that's tax-free. So if we put it into context, you're looking at, you would have to earn almost $370,000 to $380,000 in 2 years to be able to make that sort of money. When you annualize that, it works out to be 21.6% per year, a lot better than the 7% we promised you. And that works out to be about almost 2% per month. And that's been happening for 2 years. So I guess the big takeaway from that would be the importance of getting into the right location. But how does, like, knowing those numbers, how does that make you feel?
Oh, obviously amazing. you definitely, when you just do something new for the first time, and like you said, how was it, talking to me, you haven't met me and everything. It is scary, and you take a risk at the end of the day to purchase. But I think it's just the time in the market, like you say, it's just so important. It's been 2 years where, like you said, we predicted 7% growth, and it would just surpass that by so much. And it feels great to finally see the growth of it, because I think I was expecting to, like, I need to wait until 5-10 years until we can actually see something, and then it's like a long game, so you gotta stay in it and just not touch it, let it be, it'll do its own thing. But seeing it after 2 years is just the fact that you can take this equity out and again reinvest and grow your portfolio, and that the main growth, like you say, it comes from the capital gain, which is amazing, and like building the machine, like you say, as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think even with this, it's like, you've had more growth in 2 years than we would have expected for the first 5 or 6 years. And that's where even if the market does slow down or it even declines, because obviously there's always talks about, the market's going to crash and things like that. You've got solid tenants in there that are paying you what you need. It also means that you've now made so much more gains that even if the market did cool down, you're probably in the mode of going, well, I can extract that equity and buy something else as well and start building my position, because you're building for the long term. Absolutely. And so obviously that happens in May, June of 2022. And then we have our chat, or you had the chat with Deeps and Jono, and you decide you want to buy again this year. And then you go ahead and purchase in North Queensland. I say North Queensland, but it's in the northern region of Queensland. And that was 3 months ago. Yeah. So obviously you did really well on the first property. You decided you want to buy again. Was there a question in your mind of going, okay, I don't want to pay the BA fee again. It's obviously a large cost. I've seen it work on the first time. Was there any thoughts like that? Or was it, hey, I did it the first time. I didn't have to touch anything. I'm going to go again. What was the thought process there?
No, I don't think there was any thought, to be honest. Because it's like you said, when you compare the numbers to how much we already made, and the BA fee, and I understand that for a lot of first timers, it sort of scares them. Like, oh my God, there's so much money already involved in purchasing a property, and there's a BA fee on top of that. But you see the numbers of buying originally, and then you see the growth in a couple of years, like what you did with our first property, and then you realize this BA fee is pretty much, like, it did so much more for us than, me trying to find out myself. Like, there's no way I would be searching in Western Australia, to be honest, right? Yeah. As far as I would go, it's probably regional New South Wales. Even then, like, you do not have the knowledge, and I think this is one of the things I strongly believe is, if you want to get ahead, you hire the people who know the best in it, and they're professionals in it, and they deal with it every day. Where probably I could have done, let's say, trying to analyze the market and search it, but what if I would go to complete the wrong way? And I understand as well as many people don't have time for that. We all get our jobs as well, so it was really good to sort of offload it. Be like, guys, please, you know what you're doing. I trust you. You do your own thing. You just let me know what needs to be done from our side.
No, I appreciate it. And I guess it goes a long way as well for us to work with clients like yourself going, okay, well, at the end of the day, you're a person that's gone out there, worked hard, saved your money. We're not here to go, okay, let's take a quick buck from you and screw you over. It's like, okay, how do we now put that money to work? We get paid on our, obviously the work that we do. But what's really rewarding for us is you actively wanting to trust us in the process again, because the dollars you put in, you made significantly more. And to me, that is an absolute no-brainer. But I can appreciate how hard it is, especially for your first property, where you're like, I don't know this guy. I don't know if those results were a one-off and if I'm going to get screwed in my one. Those are all things that you take on, take on board when you're taking a risk with anything. Yeah. But with this property here, so we purchased it for $470, and the rent, I believe it's still rented at that $490 per week.
Yes, it is. Yep. The tenants, which was very good outcome for us. We don't have to look for anyone.
It helps sometimes, hey. And so now it's been 3 months since you pretty much settled. Have you got any idea as to what it would be worth now? Is there any expectations that it would have grown? I mean, real estate's supposed to be a long game, right? Yeah. So we're not going in there saying, let's get as much money as possible. But it was just interesting because I knew that area quite well, and I saw the numbers and I was like, okay, that's pretty much where I think it is, but I might surprise you. So any sort of thoughts around what it might be worth, or no expectations there?
I think no expectations.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's probably the best way to do it. And I think this is the reason why you'll get so far ahead, because you got the mindset for it. Expectations are lower, but then when they come through, you're like, okay, now I can adapt and use the right skills. So we obviously purchased 3 months ago. Now it was under market by about 10K. So let's discount that and go, okay, if you're paying a fee and then you're going, well, I can get it under market straight away, I'm ahead, which is good. Now, in the last 3 months, now this is the part that, might be fun for you, is in the last 3 months, it's grown about $20,000. Wow. So that's about 4.2%. And when you annualize that, it's about 16.8%. So again, not as good as your first one, but significantly higher than whatever we've expected. How does that sort of make you feel? Any thoughts around that?
it's just crazy how quickly the market moves, to be honest. And I think it's great to see the results, and like I said, it just makes you more excited to keep investing in it, and see what other opportunities are, and keep talking to you guys and doing. Let's say this one was 3 months review. The other one we did. I think we did a review, and then we did another review just now. But it is amazing to see the results, and just thinking about a 20K in 3 months. For me, it's a huge thing.
Well, for anyone, is a huge thing. Because when you factor in, it's like 20K. Okay, 20K is a lot. But when you start factoring in, there's tax-free 20K.
Yeah.
Then you're like, in order for me to save $30,000 or $35,000,
wild.
For most people, that's like a year or 2 years worth of savings. And if you're now you're building out the machine. Now it's probably making sense. All those stupid whiteboard videos I was making early on. Now it's like, okay, it compounds. Trust me in this process. It's all happening for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, I completely agree, especially the compounding effect of it is, I think I'm yet to see where it's going to take us.
Yeah.
And it's, perhaps it's even a bit scary, because you're like, oh my God, how do you go and not rush into things at the same time? Because you're like, obviously we trust you guys and doing the thing for us. And I got a question asked. I'm like, okay, well, how many properties are you planning to pursue? I was like, I don't know. No, I'm sort of like going with the game for now.
Yep.
I think I would like to see perhaps someday, just to see how much would it bring me on passive income yearly, and then just go from there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's where a lot of it comes down to, where BAs, so buyers agents, are meant to just buy you a property, and that would be it. For us, it's like, okay, let's start having those reviews, having those chats around, okay, we've got equity, we've got these options. If we want X, Y, and Z, Cara, can we do this? And do you want it? And you might go, well, actually, that seems quite easy. What's the other option? And we might go, okay, the next tier up is to go for this. And you might go, okay, that's a bit too much risk. Or, hey, I actually want to buy my own place, or whatever it is. And so you can keep adjusting. And I think that's really important, that people listening are going, I could go ahead and buy my own property. And if I do the research and do it all well, but who are you going to in terms of a sounding board? You can't go to your financial planner, because they can't give you advice on property. If you go to, I guess, your accountant, they've got their view with the lens of, I want to save you tax.
Yeah.
You go to a mortgage broker, and they might go, well, this is how you get efficiently the lowest LVR. That's what you want to do. Don't take out money and just, have the property. Yeah. And for us, it's all about, how do we grow that portfolio? But because we have that holistic approach, it's more so, how do we do it in a sustainable way, and what's fit for you? Yeah. There's no reason, if you want to get 30 properties, we can't get you there. But if you have no intentions for that, then it's like, why would we push you so much to get to that, and then you sacrifice lifestyle? Exactly. So I guess from here, what's next? Is it you continue buying property? Is it you want to purchase your own principal place of residence at some point? Walk me through what the idea is there.
Yeah. Well, we are in the middle of purchasing our third.
Oh, nice. You didn't wait too long?
Yeah, no, we didn't wait too long. No, that's true. So I think, this will be our third property with you guys, and we'll just hold on to them. And, well, I would like to purchase one more next year, but I think, again, it comes out to our serviceability. Yeah. So once that's done, I personally just would like to stay sort of rent investing for the next 5-10 years. Nice. Because obviously you have an idea of your perfect home, and down the line that would happen, principal place of residence. But we would like to stay in Sydney, and as you would imagine, like, if you want a perfect home in Sydney, it will be millions of dollars. Yep. So I think down the line, the ideal scenario, let's say, we'll have several properties. The loan to value ratio is quite low. They're paying themselves, plus they're bringing us some money. And then, let's say, hopefully retire early, and then at about 40 years, buy our own place, perhaps sell some of the investment property. So we would be, would be allow us to borrow more for the principal place of residence. So something like that. I think still hold some. I think I would just like to hold something that strong yield, brings us money. I don't have to worry about them. They're just sitting there. They're well looked after, and just go from there.
It sounds like an ideal situation. And that's where our job is, to really get you guys there. And that's what we work towards. So it's really exciting to see the journey so far and how things have compounded, where you spent a lot of time trying to buy your first property and now you've gone back to back very quickly. And there's so many opportunities there. It's a matter of just going, how do we direct this in the most sustainable way so you get the best of all worlds? But it's really exciting. I think that whole rent vesting side of things, which is exactly what I do, it really does set you up well, because you as a young person can enjoy that lifestyle, continue purchasing, building the portfolio, and you're not just saying, oh, well, I can't buy in Sydney my dream house yet. I'll just sit on my hands and do nothing, because the market's going to move without you, right? Having that open mindset as well around, if we want to sell some of those properties later, we can, to go and purchase the principal place. I think people get stuck sometimes. They think you buy property and then never sell. But in this situation, that is always a move that we can go towards if we want to get what we want ideally in life. But thank you so much, Cara. I guess, do you have any farewell messages or message for the audience that are watching here? Intriguing conversations for them. Anything that you want to get them to take away from this?
I think trust the professional people. They're there for a reason. Obviously, look for the record of, or examples of the how they have performed. And like you guys, you do post quite a lot of what was your success stories of the clients and stuff. So looking at that, and we jumped with you guys when you were quite early, and I'm so glad we did. But it's all about time in the game. So do not be worried about the interest rates. Just go in, because we all know what's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months, and you don't want to miss out.
Yeah, no, I love that. Thank you so much, Cara. And guys, if you have enjoyed this, let me know in the comments down below. And if we want Cara back on, you're going to have to comment down below saying money with Cara. And that way she'll know, okay, Ravi, I'll come back on. I'm very popular. Let's do this. But for everyone else, if you guys want to see more content like this, definitely subscribe and check out a playlist that I'll leave, which you can check out as well. Thank you so much, guys.